right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today with ZoomInfo's founder and CEO, Henry Schuck, and our head of EMEA Growth, Nadeem Khan. Today's masterclass is 3 ways to supercharge your customer acquisition and growth with data. ZoomInfo is a publicly traded company. This presentation may contain forward-looking statements. Any buying decision you make should be based upon only currently available products and offerings. Our complete safe harbor statement is displayed here for your review. Now back to today's speakers. Today's topic is 3 ways to supercharge your customer acquisition and growth with data. In uncertain times, it's important for businesses to diversify sources of revenue. According to Bain, it can cost up to 7 times more to acquire a new customer than to retain and expand an existing one. Similar to tracking key signals from new prospects, adopting a similar approach for existing customers lets sales teams know when the time is right for customer expansion. Get this right, and you can double your chances of closing early renewals and see an increase in net revenue retention, while spending significantly less time and resources on sales efforts. Today, you'll learn proactive and actionable steps for sales and account teams to access the right intent signals and workflows to prevent customer churn. A few things we'll cover today is how using data to identify which accounts are ready to grow, understanding which intent signals are most meaningful along different customer journeys, how to align sales and marketing for optimal upsell and cross-selling KPIs, strategies, and orchestration, and how to automate workflows to help your reps increase their productivity and impact with speed to market. And lastly, how to spot customers at risk for churn and how to prevent it in times of economic uncertainty. With that, I'll kick it off to Henry to get us started.
Perfect. Thank you, Ashley. Nadeem, good to be here with you. We're excited to bring you this webinar. I'm going to do a live demo of the platform towards the end, but I wanted to start with a couple of key sentiments. The first one is, no great go-to-market leader ever said, hey, our strategy at Acme Company is to go after anyone at any company at any time. That's a strategy that's never worked. The whole concept of how you design a go-to-market organization is to go after the right people at the right companies at the right time. That is how you win. That's how you're in front of the right opportunities. It's how you are efficient in the way that you go to market. It's how you make sure you don't lose opportunities to competitors. It's how you put your limited resources in front of the right places to get the highest ROI out of your outbound and go-to-market efforts. And the reason for that is that if you don't get in front of the right accounts at the right time, then what ends up happening is that you actually may know who the right decision maker is, and you may be in the right account. Even those two things are often difficult to get right. But even when you get those two things right, that account may not be ready to buy. And so you waste the cycle, you waste your resources. The first 2 parts of this, though, are a must. They're the foundation to how you go to market. You need to know what your ideal accounts look like, and then you need to know who your ideal decision makers are within those accounts. That's pretty easy to do. You can come into ZoomInfo, you can build a list of companies that have over X amount of revenue or over X amount of headcount that are in these locations, that are in these industries, that are of this specific size, or that have raised this amount of funding. That'll get you to the right accounts. Then you know who your buying committees are. So you go, okay, who do I sell to in those accounts? I don't sell to everybody. I don't sell to the CEO, CFO, and the COO. Maybe I sell to the sales leader or the IT leader or the infrastructure leader or the data center leader. So you need to know who your ideal accounts are. You need to know the right decision maker at those accounts. And then you need to be in front of the right people at those accounts at the right time. And timing is about signals. It's about signals that happen within a company that tell you the company is going to be in the market for your products and services. I'll give you just a really simple one. How many deals have you gotten or lost because a new point of contact comes into the account? So someone comes in, they go, okay, I've got a strategy. I've got 6 months to really prove that my strategy is going to work. I'm going to buy software or services from these 5 vendors that I know previously. Hopefully, you're on the list of those 5 vendors that they knew previously. But if you're not, that's a significant threat for your business if it's in your customer base. And so you want to be in front of those accounts. That is the right time. New executive that fits your ideal buyer profile, that's the right time to be in front of an account. Spiking on intent, have a project. We're going to go through a number of different areas, but the one that lands the most, because I've been in the seat where I've been selling to an account, I'm about to close it. They hire a new VP of sales. New VP of sales comes in, has a preferred vendor, doesn't even give me a chance to win the deal. Now, if I'm a competitor, knowing that a new VP has come into that account, that's a huge selling opportunity for me. And so it's a really simple signal to wrap your head around. There are a number of additional signals that we're going to talk about, but conceptually, this is what it looks like. Right people, so you're identifying people via org charts, ideal customer profile filters, and buying committee filters, which I'll show you. Right companies, this is about what does a company look like that is a great fit for your products and services. Maybe they use a specific technology. Maybe they're of a certain size. And then right time. And we're going to show you web traffic, intent data, and what we call scoops or business intelligence that tells you exactly when the right time is to connect with your potential buyers. So let's look first at how you identify your customers. And I'll show you a real life example when we get into the platform here as well. So how do you identify your customers? You usually do it by industry, by employee count, maybe by employee growth rate, by location, maybe by company revenue, maybe by a technology that they currently use, or maybe by an amount of funding that they've received. Nadeem, are any of these sort of like key ones that you use in the business?
I think they're all of them are, to be honest. I think, what the point that you made around funding signals and hiring signals, that's paramount to customer retention, knowing, what's happening in your account, how we can focus on the right people at the right time, and, the differences in terms of what they're doing with their particular industry is critical to making sure that we are ahead of the curve.
Yeah, the more you can go, the deeper that you can go with this, the more likely you are to get really the exact right accounts in your total addressable market, because our total addressable markets are big. We serve 700,000 potential customers, and so really narrowing that in to the perfect fits so that we're using our resources against the exact right time. That's super valuable. Okay, so the next thing you want to take a look at here is how we think about your decision makers at an account. Do you sell to the C-level? Do you sell to directors? Do you sell to VPs? Do you sell to people in the data center or people in infrastructure or security or marketing or demand generation? Identifying the key decision makers in your account, that's the next most valuable step. So great, I know which companies, but who are the people that I sell to within those companies? And then finally, and what we believe to be most importantly, what are the signals that matter? What are the signals that tell you a company is in market for your products and services? Maybe they just added a technology to their technology stack. Maybe they just removed the technology from their technology stack. Maybe they just got funding. Maybe they're spiking on intent for a product or service that you sell. Maybe they're spiking on intent for your competitors' products or services. Maybe they just hired a new executive or a new key contact that you would be selling to. Maybe they visited your website 5 times in the last 2 weeks. Maybe they have an identified project or initiative around your product and service. These are all key signals that are available inside of ZoomInfo. But what we find with our customers is that these signals obviously are only as good as what you do with them. And what ends up happening, and when we talk about these signals, what ends up happening is if you go around your sales team right now, walk through your sales hallway and find your best account executives, your best account managers, and ask them, what are the key signals you use that identify an opportunity or a threat within your accounts? And they will tell you, hey, when a new executive comes in, when they get funding, when they add a technology, whatever that is, they will tell you. Unfortunately, they're running that process in an ad hoc way. When they learn about a thing through a Google News alert or some other way, they run a process. Sometimes, and oftentimes they don't run the process always. They don't get the signal and they don't run the process in an automated, prescriptive, orchestrated way. That is why we built workflows at ZoomInfo. What workflows does is it takes these dynamic signals, website visit, intent spike, key project or initiative, and then it creates an automated workflow behind them. So you can tell the system, listen, every time somebody drops a specific technology, stops using a specific technology, or every time a company hires a new chief information officer, I want to do X. And X can be anything from send a Slack message to the person who owns the account, to orchestrate a display ad campaign, an email campaign, and a call campaign to the key buying committee at my accounts. And so you take those signals that we know are critically important, you marry them to the companies and the buyers at those companies that we know are the right fits, and then you create automated, orchestrated workflow out of them. And so I'm going to show you exactly how to do that inside of ZoomInfo right now. So let's dive in. This is almost certainly the page that you are most used to seeing when you log into ZoomInfo. And let me show you how to identify a couple of these signals. If you're looking on this page, first of all, you're going to see a bunch of signals that come in. You can customize these signals so they're the ones that are most relevant to you. But I'm looking at this. There's a funding signal. There's an intent spike signal here. There's a new executive signal here. Great. Again, signals are really great, but it only matters if I know what to do with them and I can marry them to the right buyers at the right accounts. So let's actually start with websites. Websites is our product that tells you which companies are visiting your website. And that means not only which companies are visiting your website that you already know, who have already filled out a form, so you've already identified them. These are anonymous visitors to your website that you don't know. And 98% of the visits to your website that your marketing and demand gen team are driving visits to are anonymous. They never fill out a form. You don't know who they are. But because of this really vast contributory network of data that ZoomInfo has created, we're able to identify the companies that are going to your website and not actually identifying themselves. So this is what it looks like for ZoomInfo. This is a live view. And what I've done here is I've done a couple of things. First, I've said only show me companies that are spiking. So down here, I selected this button. So this means that they're significantly increasing their visits to our website. And so I just want to know, not people who stop by once or twice, but people who significantly increased their visits to ZoomInfo. So I have that list. And I can do a number of things with this list. But the most powerful thing I can do is I can say here, hey, I want to create a workflow around these specific companies that are spiking on website visits to the ZoomInfo page. And so I'm going to take that workflow and I'm going to say, hey, when someone visits ZoomInfo on any page, and then this says from any company, but instead of any company, I can apply a bunch of ZoomInfo filters to this. The one that I've been using, and I'll show on the other pages, is they have at least 100 employees and that they're in software and or business services. But I can do a lot more here. I can say, and they're only based in the United States, and they use a specific technology that I use. Or I can bring in data from our Marketing OS platform here as well. So what I'm saying right now is just US states, over 100 employees, business services, and software. In financials, I can say that they've raised at least $100 million. And so let's actually say that. They've raised at least $100 million. Oh, got to put in the whole number. So I'm looking for companies that are spiking on their visits to ZoomInfo, that are in business services and software with over 100 employees that have raised at least $100 million and are in the United States. Great, I've got that. That's the trigger part of this. What's the trigger? And then what's the action? And so inside of ZoomInfo, I've defined a buying committee. And so that says, if you just go into settings and you navigate to buying committee, that's just a way for you to say, who are the people in the account that are most valuable to me, that are the people who are making buying decisions, purchasing decisions for my products and services. So here I've just done something really simple, just VPs of sales. That's it. So when I come into the workflow, I can say discover up to 20 ZoomInfo contacts. And then I'm going to say that are in my buying committee, just buying committee members. So now what have I married? I've married a signal to the right companies and the right people. So what have I done? I've turned any company, any person, anytime into the right company, the right people at the right time. And now what do I want to do with it? I can do a number of things. First, I can connect it to any one of my systems. I can say, hey, anytime this happens, take that buying committee and put it into HubSpot. Put it in a specific campaign in HubSpot that automates the outreach. Export it to Slack. Export it to ZoomInfo's Engage and put it in a specific campaign. So now I'm going to create the collateral on the other side. So this says, hey, when a company is spiking, grab my exact right contacts and then get them in this campaign that says like, hey, John, I noticed that a number of people from insert company name have been visiting the ZoomInfo website. And I wanted to reach out to you because we work with similar companies, whatever the collateral is. I'm going to create a scenario where every time this trigger hits, I'm automating that outbound motion to the exact companies and the right people at those companies. So no more ad hoc, no more hoping that the account executive catches a signal, that your account manager sees the signal. We're going to automatically create it end to end. Now, let me show you how to do that on intent. So intent data, if you're not familiar with it, this is data that tells you when a company is spiking on specific topics that are relevant to you. And could be your competitor's term. It could be a topic that relates to the business that you're in. The one that I've set up here, and I've preset this up for us, is companies over 100 employees in business services and software. And then I've actually gone in and I've used our Salesforce sync. And we have this for Salesforce and HubSpot. And I've said, don't show me any of my customers. I'm going to exclude all of my customers. Now, if you're looking to identify threats or opportunities in your own business, you're going to use the opposite of this. You're going to say include only my customers, because I want to know when my customers are researching my competitors, are researching products and services that I know that I offer, that's either a threat or an opportunity within my account, but I need to know about it. Here I've done an exclude here, so non-customers who are spiking on, and I just picked these three random things: data center consolidation, and data center maintenance. And now I have this very specific list of companies in my ideal customer profile who are not customers of mine, who are spiking on key topics that are relevant to my business. Again, what can I do with this? I can click one click and create a workflow around this. And so now I'm going to catch every company that spikes on intent for this specific topic. I'm going to, again, marry it to my ideal buyers at those companies. I'm going to use the buying committee filter, and then I can select what I want to do with it. And let me just go down to that, because here I'm just going to show you how to do it in Engage. I click one button to put it into Engage, and I can select the sales flow that I want it to go in. These are all of our different sales flows inside of Engage. Maybe I have one that's called intent spiking. Actually, I don't know if we do, but there you go. Intent value play. I click intent value play, and then I say, look, every time this happens, I'm going to put it directly into this specific campaign and collateral that I've designed specifically for this moment. And I'm going to catch all of it. Now let me show you scoops. Scoops are super fun, and I bet you didn't know that ZoomInfo has them. This is like the hidden gem inside of ZoomInfo that we don't do a good enough job of making sure you know exists. We run literally millions of surveys at the decision makers in our platform, asking them every month, every day, what sort of projects and initiatives they're working on within their specific companies. And so here's what I've done here. Again, I've applied the specific filters, which you can just build right here inside of ZoomInfo. Over 100 employees. I said here again, exclude my customers, in business services and software, and I chose opportunity scoops. Opportunity scoops tell us when a company is actually working on a specific project or initiative. And you can get specific here too. I didn't want to get too specifics, but you could say opportunity scoops for accounts payable automation, opportunity scoops for HVAC maintenance. Whatever key topic is relevant to you, you can limit scoops to. So here what I'm seeing is key things that we've received from companies that tell us that they're running specific projects. So a frontline source in DevOps indicated that Wison is in the midst of initiatives relating to training and documentation. They're evaluating vendors. At Precision, a product development source, indicated that they're trying to remediate challenges related to continuous integration. Imagine you're a service provider or a product that helps with continuous integration. I can now build workflow to be in front of every company and my key buyers when a project has been identified at those accounts that specifically relates to these topics. I can also just save this. Hey, I'm going to save this scoop search, and I want to get a daily email every day when there's a new project that meets the guidelines of this search that I've created. And I'm going to get that every day. I can also, just like we did in the other places, create workflow around it. So I can say, look, anytime there's a new project or initiative that specifically talks about my product or service, give me a workflow around it. Put it in, start a display ad campaign, put it in Engage, put it in Salesforce or HubSpot. And you can limit, using our Salesforce and HubSpot and Marketo syncs, you can limit customers, you can limit data that exists within those accounts, you can include, exclude, so you can set these up to parameters that matter to you. I'm going to do one more thing here under scoops. I'm actually just going to go in and use keywords here. And because I said accounts payable automation, I'm going to actually type in accounts payable and show which scoops show up about accounts payable. Internal source and accounting indicated the organization midst of initiatives related to accounts payable. Completed initiatives related to accounts payable in the last nine months. Building initiatives related to accounts payable in the next 6 months. This is all from today still. From yesterday, this one's from yesterday, from last week. An internal source in accounting is in the midst of initiatives related to accounts payable. Now, again, I can take that search and build a workflow around it. Every time a company's in the midst of initiatives related to accounts payable, I want to catch it. I want to send an email campaign. I want to tell my sales rep that this is happening. I want to send a Slack notification immediately to them. I want to start a display ad campaign. If I'm a Marketing OS customer, I'm going to push it into my CRM system. Never miss a key signal again. That's the power of workflows. It starts with really great and really accurate data on companies and the decision makers and individual contributors at those companies. It's marrying that to key signals within those accounts that tell us companies are in market for our products and services. And then you finish that off with automation and orchestration out of workflows so you never miss one of these. I've heard endless customers come to us and say, well, you know what? This means I basically get my next 2, 3, 4 account executives for free, because this is going to run the same motion of my best account executives, my best sales development representatives. It's going to run that for me automatically. It's going to get me opportunities that I wouldn't have otherwise had. It's incredibly powerful to marry the simple data, company data, contact data, with signal data, the really powerful data that tells you when the right time to engage is, and then build workflow automation around it. That is the future of how companies are going to market. It's what we see our best companies doing today, our best clients doing today. And in 5 years from now, anyone not doing this is going to be far behind their industry. So that's it. If you're not using workflows, if you're not marrying that to signals, you're doing it wrong. And I think we want to open up for some questions, right, Ashley?
Yeah, we are. So we've had a few come in, and specifically on the topic of workflows, why are automated workflows relevant right now, and which have the most immediate impact for sales orgs?
Yeah, look, I think that the reason why this is so relevant today is if you go around and talk to any revenue leader at any company and ask them, like, what are you being tasked to do right now? The answer across the board is, I've got to do more with less. I've got to figure out how to do more with less. And how do you do more with less? Automation. You automate things that would take the time of your key sellers, of your key SDRs, of your demand gen motion. You automate that out so that you can continue to be in front of the right opportunities, but give time back to your sellers to sell more and do the higher value add activities.
And related to that question, we had a similar one that says, should intent alone trigger sales workflows, or should we have other data points placed layered over intent?
Yeah, totally. Great question. So first of all, I think marrying intent first to the right total addressable market is super important, right? You don't want to just be out there in front of any company that's showing intent, right? It's not any company, it's the right companies. And so you want to limit the audience of companies that you may reach out to as it relates to intent. So like, maybe you don't sell to SMBs, or maybe you only sell to SMBs and you don't sell to enterprises. And maybe you only sell to SMBs and mid-market companies that use Salesforce. Whatever those parameters are, you want to limit the audience to the right audience and marry that against intent. And I think, yeah, I think at a minimum, it doesn't hurt to automate a campaign that goes from intent to the right companies, to the right people, and sends an email sequence and a call sequence behind them. Now, if you wanted to, you can marry intent to websites and say, I don't want to reach out to everybody, but if they're spiking on intent and they visited my webpage, that's an incredibly hot lead. And I need to make sure I'm in front of those companies in a really material way. And so you may go, look, hey, if it's just intent, then I want an automated email sequence. If it's intent and website visit, then I want to run a sales motion. I'm going to have somebody call them. I'm going to email and call those people. I'm going to use more resources behind them because it's a hotter lead. And so you want to think about, where are you going to use just pure automation and a hands-off approach, and where do you want to really lean in and use your sales resources in the best way?
Nice. I think this would be a good one for Nadeem, and it seems like it was asked kind of similarly, but in two different ways. So let me read it out to you. What signals should sales orgs be paying more attention to for upsell and cross-sell opportunities? And then which KPIs indicate the customer is ready for cross-sell or upsell? Can you offer up a few examples?
We absolutely can, yeah. I think there's a couple of things that I want to touch on from a customer perspective. So, what do customers really want from us? And I think that is, they want us to be proactive. They want us to understand their business. And ultimately, they want us to drive excellence, right? And how do we do that? We do that by doing exactly what Henry took us through. And so some of the things that, I would ask my team to do especially when it comes to upsell or cross-sell opportunities, is look at, what Henry spoke about when it comes to intent data. Understanding what your customers are looking at, what are they researching, what types of content are they potentially visiting, downloading, whatever it may be. That to us is an intention of interest within our particular suite of products and services that we offer. So that's one. The other thing that he went into a little bit of detail around was hiring signals, funding signals, understanding, if a company is going through recent funding or if they plan to do so, that also is an opportunity for us to get in front of that customer and drive the types of conversations that we should be driving, because we come across proactive in the eyes of the customer. If I was a customer of an organization and my account manager was coming to me and saying, hey, listen, I understand that you're doing this with your business. I understand that you're hiring more salespeople. I understand that you've just had a new acquisition. I understand that you're growing in specific regions or in specific territories. The way that I would see that particular account manager or that particular business is completely different to how I will see other suppliers that I'm potentially working with. So being proactive in the way that we reach out to the customers and taking advantage of these types of signals is paramount if you want to truly drive excellence within your customer base. Another one, Ashley, would be websites. Like, who is coming to my website? What content are they engaging in? What are they downloading? Again, that gives me an opportunity to reach back out to my customers and, hey, Mr. Customer, I understand that you were looking at X, Y, and Z. I'd be, really excited to take you through that in a little bit more detail. From a KPI perspective, I think there are a couple of things that are important that we look at. Expansion rate is one of them, like understanding if a particular customer is expanding their usage of our products and services. That's an opportunity for us to then reach out and have a more directed conversation with them. Net promoter score is another one. I think, the more satisfied your customers are, the higher NPS score you will have, which means that they're going to be loyal to your brand, meaning that they will engage with you in any type of conversation that you want to have. Two other ones that I would mention very quickly is product usage. Again, in order to drive excellence within our customer base, we need to be top of mind when it comes to, are our customers using our products and services frequently? How are they using them? What is the benefit that our services are driving for them? And getting in front of them, understanding if they're using it, if their usage has spiked, then again, that triggers a indicator for us to reach out and have that conversation. The final one that I think is really, really important is, if you truly want to be a good in terms of retention and in terms of driving excellence within your accounts, you have to understand your customer's behavior. You have to be able to analyze, what are the different things that your customer needs, what interests them, and, what are they doing? Are they visiting specific websites? Are they engaging in certain types of contact? Again, that's an indicator for us to reach out to them.
Awesome. And last question, I feel like, Henry, you've kind of touched on the answer to this in some of your intent signals, and Nadeem, you just touched on some of this with product usage. But the question is, how can organizations spot customers who are at risk for churn? Are there any specific data points to keep a closer eye on?
Yeah, look, I think that what Nadeem was talking about is right. Which is, product data here is probably the most valuable data to look at if you have a product. If you're a SaaS vendor or you have a product that's showing you, that has telemetry baked into it, that's obviously the most valuable data to look at. Now, if you don't, you're not a product company, maybe you're a service company, then you're looking for these signals. Where, what's happening to my champion? Are they still there? Did they leave? Did their team leave? Did their boss change? All of those things are key indicators that they're, of opportunities or threats in the account. Did they have, if they're a publicly traded company, did they have a good quarter, a bad quarter? Those things manifest in decisions throughout the organization when they happen. Is growth slowing? Is it increasing? You know, if you work with publicly traded companies, there is a wealth of information on their earnings calls, on their earnings call transcripts. You can just hear what the CEO is talking about and what's important. You should understand that. Are they spiking on intent for your competitors? Are they spiking on intent for your products and services? That tells you that they're out in market looking for products and services like yours. That's a threat. You should be in front of your clients if they're out there searching for products that are related to what you believe is the value you're driving for them. So being in front of those signals, I think, is super valuable and important. You know, does your customer visit your pricing page? What does that tell you? They're likely comparing you to another vendor. So having, you know, really gearing these signals, I think is super important.
Yeah, that's great insight. Anything to add, Nadeem?
No, I think the only thing that I will say is, you know, from a churn or a risk perspective, I think every signal is a positive and a negative, right? So there is definitely risk. So we should get in front of those customers and understand, you know, why are they particularly spiking on those signals? But that's also an opportunity for us to level set and drive any excellence that maybe we've been missing out on. And that's also an opportunity for us to understand, okay, maybe this customer is looking to, I don't know, consolidate their services, look for additional things that potentially they weren't aware that ZoomInfo did. It's always an opportunity. And I think the power of signals and using that in your customer motion is irreplaceable. So it's super powerful. If you're not doing it already, I would highly encourage that you do that, because it really does drive the excellence within your customer base.
Awesome. That makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you, gentlemen. That concludes today's webinar. And for the audience, if you want to catch up on what we just discussed and referred back to it, we will be emailing you this recording in the next 48 hours. So thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Ashley. Thanks, Nadeem.
Thank you.